on this very important bill. To begin with, Mr. Speaker, sir, I congratulate Senator Crystal Asige for having the presence of mind to bring about this bill, which seeks to repeal the existing act which was enacted before the Constitution of Kenya 2010 was enacted, and which then does not accord and on all fours with the Constitution. So this bill is an opportunity to bring to life the various very progressive provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 in terms of the human rights of people with disabilities. And first of all, I'm happy they retain the word people with disability, because there has been an attempt to distort this issue by having a change in name to begin referring to them as people living with disabilities. No. A person living with a disability is what I had the other day when I sprained my leg and I was put in a cast. I was temporarily disabled, therefore I was living with a disability. But if you have got a permanent disability, you are not living with disability, you are a disabled person. So, the person with disability, that disability is what then brings in the challenges that these people face. And given the facts of our country as a third world country, which is basically a poor country, you'll find that people with the disability, people who suffer certain physical disabilities, tend to be the poorest of the poor in the society. And that calls for a sort of, for lack of a better word, what I would refer to as a Marshall Plan, an affirmative action program focused on people with various types of disability, so that they become the responsibility of the state, over and above being the responsibility of their parents and communities, so that they should have incentives, or the state should step forward to accommodate them and to provide them with some cushioning that will allow them to function in a normal way. Other people who do not have those challenges are able to function. And I think Senator Crystal is a perfect example of a person who has been able to overcome the physical challenge that she faces to be able to operate at par with all of us. And if there was any doubt that a person with physical challenges can perform, you just need not go further than looking at Crystal. She's always elegantly dressed, she's always punctual, she's very articulate in her presentation. But she was able to achieve that maybe because her parents had the means and the capacity to make her be what she was meant to be. But imagine if Crystal had been born in a family that was materially challenged. Maybe she would be sitting with a begging bowl at the corner of some street. And so it's upon the state as a duty bearer for human rights to come up with affirmative action plans that secure people who have these challenges. And I think when the bill goes further, I would like to see that come out clearly and emphatically. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, I've looked at Section 8 of the bill, and I'm happy that it upholds traditional family values. It maintains the right to marry a person of opposite sex and form a family based on free consent. And other rights that are coming on. You see, in the modern world where there are a lot of distortions, I'm happy that Senator Asige has had the presence of mind to pronounce in no uncertain terms the binary nature of the human sexuality. And I congratulate her for that, because there's a lot of pressure to distort these things. Another thing I would like to see come out in the bill, which I have not seen, is that people with disability, through use of certain names, are othernized, dehumanized, and ostracized. And Swahili has got some of the worst names for people with disability. I would love to see in this bill an attempt to sort of make those words politically incorrect, and maybe new nomenclature to emerge that defines, that respects, first of all, the humanity of the person. It's very, very painful for somebody, a human being, just because of a physical challenge, to be referred in a manner that dehumanizes and objectifies the person. So I would like to see, when this bill goes to further as it's being reviewed, to see if it can really come up and address the question of use of names that dehumanize, otherize, and ostracize persons living with certain disabilities. I will also love to see sanctions, severe sanctions against people who, because they don't have any challenges, would abuse people with disabilities, would deny people with disability their rights. So I've seen the rights are well pronounced of these people, but I would like to see the sanctions enhanced where these rights are violated, so that there's a deterrence, something that will deter the do no gooders of this world from going on expeditions of frustrating people with disability or of denying them their rights. So this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, comes at an opportune time when we have narratives in this country that are geared towards emancipating our people, be it from economic bondage or any other bondage. So within the same narrative, which I hear in government circles, I hear in opposition circles, I hear in civil society, of emancipation, this bill is really a good installment in that debate, that here are a group of Kenyans, citizens or residents of this country, who require and deserve special attention. And that attention can only be presented using the wherewithal that only the state can marshal. Left to private families, parents, communities, these people will drop through the cracks, and maybe those who are enabled and as gifted as Crystal will fall through the cracks and will never be noticed. So I think it's upon the state to go the extra mile and say that where nature has visited a disability on a citizen of Kenya or a resident of Kenya, the state will step in to make sure that the challenge is mitigated through certain measures. So I really congratulate Senator Sige for this very, very brilliant bill, and I look forward to seeing it enacted into a law that will move us forward, and especially that will implement the Constitution of Kenya, which has faced a lot of challenges in its implementation, sometimes because of negligence of those who are supposed to implement, sometimes because of the incompetence of those who are supposed to implement, and sometimes because of outright sabotage by those who are supposed to implement the Constitution. Our Constitution is a very, very good document. It covers very many sectors, and it's by coming up to implement chapter by chapter, inch by inch, that we shall be able to have this Constitution be the foundation of our national creed, that justice be our shield and defender. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is well deserved, this bill is well written, this bill is timely, and this bill is a necessary installment in the laws of Kenya. And I'll pray that it will be able to pass and become an act of parliament, but with the various amendments here and there to tighten it, to ensure that it's comprehensive, to ensure that it leaves nobody behind, to ensure that the state is held accountable for every individual person with living with the disability or having, not living, every person with disability. I'm sorry, I withdraw the word living with disability, but every person with disability is taken care of. Not as at a statistical number, but as an individual. Because sometimes we might go into statistics, and by being into statistics, we might begin using percentages and say that this percentage of people with disability has been catered for. That to me will not be acceptable. The bill must ensure that each individual person with disability is taken care of and nobody falls through the cracks. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the bill, and I thank you most profusely for the opportunity to address this august House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Wakoli Wafula.